Hey, what's up guys? This is TBone here. Welcome back to another episode of playing Legendary Game of Heroes. In today's episode, I want to cover two topics. The first one is the changes that took place over the last 2 days, including the Dust updates and also the pool of heroes that are available now in the Dust store. The second thing that I want to do is go over some deck ideas that I have come up with so far. Some of them were made possible because of the hero pool update, and show you teams that are capable of dealing enough damage for overkill. Again, these will be teams that aren't made out of Ultimate Forms or Master Collection cards. And as part of this topic, I will also go over how the power up buff works so that you can maximize your damage. So the changes basically is broken into three parts. The first thing I wanted to do was to make it easier to evolve your cards. And so if you look at Summertime Aphrodite, for example, in the past, you would have had to use a what we call legacy catalyst at this point, something that we collected during its event, and you could use it to also evolve it to 4-star, 5-star, 6 stars. But then the disadvantage is for a new player, those catalysts were not available and they were only available in the dungeons. And so the idea for them was to come up with a generic catalyst that you could use to then upgrade any cards that matches the commander or slayer type and also the affinity. So you can see that there is the commander evolution charm that will be used for any commander type cards, and then also a water evolution stone for any water type cards. And so the challenge was, as of yesterday, when we didn't have these charms and stones, the only way we could get them was from the dungeon. And so you can see that it costs 20 for a stone and also 20 for a charm. And so we quickly realized that this would be very expensive to try and evolve a card to 6 stars. Now, since the event has started, we can see that we're getting some gifts here, and I'll talk a little bit about some of the challenges that they face as well at this event. But basically, this has made it a little bit easier. By playing through the event, you can get enough of these catalysts to at least evolve some of your heroes. Not quite as many as we would, we are used to in the past, but at least this is more than enough for the actual event itself. Then the second thing that they were talking about was also, they wanted to upgrade and update the Dust pool. So basically, the pool of heroes are available. And so if you take a look, I actually did some pulls recently. And if you take a look, there's actually a lot of ultra rare heroes that are now available, which previously was not the case. And basically they updated the pool so that the very last set of heroes that's available is the Definitive Champions, which is the deck that had Ra and Thoth in it. And so you can see, some of the ultra rares are available are Starless Nighthawk, Infernal Squall, and there's also Goddess of the Surf, Stellar Rabbit, and I also pulled Senate yesterday. And there's also Aurora Materna and a bunch of other ultra rare heroes that weren't available and is now something that you can pull. So that is very good news, and you can get this from the 20 Dust store from the Dust Merchant. You can pull it from the 3-star hero here for 20 Dust, and that would be where you can get them from. The third and final change that I guess really was what sparked a lot of controversy was the fact that now, regardless of your evolution, your card that is a 3-star, 4-star, 5-star, or 6-star will now all sell for 20 Dust. And this immediately sort of generated a lot of concern because Dust has now become very scarce. And we need to use Dust for a lot of things. We need to use it to buy catalyst and to buy additional items. And the most importantly, for anybody who is looking to create an ultimate form, it required, at the very beginning, a lot of dust there. I believe 1.6 thousand dust to get a single star ultimate form. And so these were all concerns that were shared before the event started. Then what they did was after, just before the event started, they made an announcement that they were going to actually remove the dust requirement from the actual ultimate form forge. And so this actually alleviated a lot of issues. The other thing that they also talked about was buyback is going to be different now. So that it used to be 450 dust if you wanted to buy back a card. And now if you wanted to buy back, they've reduced it down to 30. I need to show a card I don't have so that I can show you how that will work. But basically, if you take a look at any of the heroes that you've dusted before, and if you wanted to buy them back, you can. It's just going to cost you 30 instead of 450. Now, as of making this video, it still is showing 450. And so the changes haven't been made yet, but it is out in the announcement. And so overall, I think that this is a change that is going to help, because you can actually get a lot of really good cards from the Dust Merchant for 20 dust, and you can sell them back for 20 dust, with the exception of dragons, which only sell for 5 dust. But you can actually generate some good set of cards that you can use to build teams with. And so now let's take a look at some of the decks I built for this event. I'm using a combination of support cards and also previous cards that are both Generation 3 as well as Generation 2. And so we will take a look at how these decks work and also how we could, how much damage it's going to deal. So the first one is the main deck here that actually uses 3 of the current support heroes, Daihomaru. Now keep in mind that you do get 2 of them for free, one from collection and the other one just from the quest. And if you pull to tier 2 of the ultra rare pack, you are guaranteed at least 1 of the support cards as well. So you can actually run 3 of them. And if you have Procambrius, this is a really, really good card here that I've mentioned it every time we have the Water Commander event. This is the card to use because of its battle skill that will actually cause your enemies to take on more damage. And so to round it out, I also have my Biolume here just because I can generate more power gems, but we can actually replace this, and I'm going to show you what variations we can have. But we will start with this. And what I'm going to do is we're going to go up against a legend boss right now. So let's go into the battle arena, and we're going to go up against a level 213 legend boss, Leah. Now, it's also a little bit easier this time. Now, for the relics, remember I pulled 3 of these pendants in one event, and then for the second, for my 4th one, I pulled them from the following event when they offer that relic pack again. So I do have 4 of these, and it is very helpful for me, but I can show you that the damage that this is able to output is just so high that even if you don't have the same kind of relics I do, you should still be able to deal the same kind of damage. And so anyways, this is actually a little bit easier because the debuffs this time is actually called, it's actually just Panic. And so there's no decrease in your damage output, and there is no no poison or nothing that will prevent you from spawning gems. So this is actually really good. And so anyways, the way you want to play this is relatively simple. Every 2 turns, you want to activate your support cards. And now by having 3 of these support cards on the team, I'm actually able to get my my power up count up to by 6 each time. And so we need to get it up to 15, and so that really just means every basically 6 turns later, I'll be able to max it out. And so during this time, you're also going to get some nice heals from the power up here. And so we'll go ahead and activate everything. And now what you want to do is, timing wise, after you've activated the after you've activated support cards, then you want to activate Procambrius. Procambrius can be stacked. And so what you want to do is you want to stack them, and then you want to also make sure that you could match 6 water gems so you can power up again for the second stack. And the timing works out so that if you activate Procambrius 1 turn after you activate the support cards, you can then activate Procambrius when all of the power gems have spawned. So you can see on the right side here, there is a counter. On the right, it tells you that there's 1 turn remaining before the power gems have spawned, and we have 15 stacks. At this point, Procambrius is also available for us to activate again. And I'm going to go ahead and activate Biolume as well, and then also activate the support cards because they will also create gems to make sure that it can fill up the board as well. And so you can see here, we're able to deal quite a bit of damage, 32 billion for my Biolume here, and the total damage output is actually over 90 billion. Now, this is with a team that does have a pretty, evolved, pretty awakened Master Collection card, and also some really good relics. So let's take a look at a variation here and see how much damage we can deal there. And now the variation I'm going to show you actually uses the support card and the event card from the previous event, which is Campbell's the Indomitable and also Malacostra. And so let's go ahead and again go up against a legend boss, and we will see how much damage we're able to deal with this particular setup. And so we're going to go ahead and change this to this deck here. And I'm actually using the same relics here, which doesn't actually give me a boost. So if you use different relics that will actually provide Power Gem 3s, you're actually going to deal more damage than I'm going to show in this particular case. Because I'm not going to get any additional Power Gems here, but this is sort of the only water commander decks, water commander relics I have, and so that's why I have to work with. And so it plays pretty much exactly the same way. Now, this type of deck, using the support cards, is not going to be a fast deck. We were able to show that in the last time when we played the Earth Grail deck. It does take a few turns, and so having 3 support cards here actually speeds up a little bit because you can get to the maximum 15 stacks of power up a lot faster this way. And so we're also not playing as fast here, but I want to kind of explain how all of this work together. And so again, you want to basically use the 3 turns here. Every 2 turns, you're going to get be activating the battle skill of your support cards, and you're going to do this 3 times if you use 3 support cards. If you use 2, then it's going to be increased, to about 5 turns. And so basically at this point, once you activate everything, also activate Campos. So Campos has a 4-turn cooldown before it will actually activate the overflow buff. And what it will do is it will then buff the event cards so that it will create more power gems as well, double the number, and it'll create 8. And so if you take a look at the counter, you can see 2 counters here. They're both counting down. The overflow buff is basically the same turn as the power-up buff, so that you'll be able to create 15 power gems, and then when you activate Malacostra, you're going to create 8 power gems as well. So once we go ahead and do that, make sure that you activate Malacostra first before you activate the support cards. You're going to create 12 water gems total to fill up the board here, and then we're going to do a power gem swap here. Now keep in mind, I don't have any additional power gems from my relics here, and so my damage output is a little bit lower, but you can see here it still was able to deal out a total of 27 billion damage with that output. Now if we had better relics, we could have done better damage there. Now I mentioned that some of the ultra rare cards from before is actually really helpful, and this is a case here where if you're able to pull Goddess of the Surf, I was actually able to get 2 of them here. You can pair them up with Summertime Aphrodite, which also has the 10 times bonus boost for this particular event. And the way this works is Summertime will get mimicked by Goddess of the Surf, so that you can get additional gem spawns here. And so again, we're going to use the same relics we have here. We're going to go up against actually Infernal Squall here, because this is meant to be a quick deck, but it's not going to be quite enough in terms of damage output to take out a solo legend. But this is one of those decks that can be really quick, that could help you go through your bosses relatively quickly. And so keep in mind again, if you use different relics, that can actually boost up your cards. So tomorrow, when the Water Commander event, when the Water Relic comes out, you'll be able to deal more damage as well. And so the way you do this is pretty simple. You just activate your Goddess of the Surf first, and every time you activate Summertime Aphrodite, the number of gems will be also mimicked by Goddess of the Surf, so you can get a really nice gem count here. And all of the Power Gem 3s are generated from Goddess of the Surf here, and so your main damage dealer in this case is actually going to be a support card, and it's able to dish out 5.7 billion by itself there, so you can easily take out the solo bosses, just not quite enough for overkill for your legends. Now another example of a deck that uses old cards that can actually help new cards is using the Aurora Materna, which was a card that again also is available in the Dust store, which actually will power up Honor cards. And so this requires you to have Honor relics. If you have it, you can also put it to use. For this particular deck, I'm using 2 Haldors, and I'm also using a Skuka, and I'm using Keda to buff all of them. So this is really where an Ascended Legend really comes in handy. And again, this isn't going to be the most powerful 1-key deck, but it is fun to use, and also an option for you if you have that. So we can go ahead and give this a try. We'll use 1 key to go up against this team right here, this boss right here. I'm going to show you how this works. So the way that Aurora Materna works is, as long as you have a power gem on the board, it will passively create 1 every single turn. And so it would be a good idea for you to try and leave at least one of the power gems on the board, so that you could actually passively generate them. Now you can also, Keta also will generate power gems from turn 1, so that is going to be helpful as well. And so right now you don't have to really worry about making sure that the battle skills are all lined up, because you wouldn't be using it until a little bit later anyway. Now with one key, you're not going to be able to line up the ability of Ray that generates power gems every 4 turns, because you actually want to try to increase the amount of intensity, the honor intensity you can generate. And so this is actually turn 4. You're going to see Ray is going to Keta is actually going to generate 4 power gems there, but we're not going to use that just yet. We're going to wait 2 more turns so that we can build up our intensity a little bit higher and also get additional power gems there. And so every turn I'm getting a power gem 3, which is really nice. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and activate Haldor first. Then we're going to activate Keta, and we're going to activate Aurora, and then finally Askuka last. And so that we can basically get our gem spawn last to maximize the number of gems on the board. And so with this, Haldor is going to be able to deal 2.5 billion damage, and Ray also be dealing about the same amount of damage there. And so it is a pretty good damage output overall at 8 billion or so. So it's not a bad choice if you wanted to try that out. And now I'm going to take this opportunity and show you a deck that I'm currently using for my one-turn deck. And so I've talked about this in the past as well. A one-turn deck is the kind of deck that will actually give you power gems and sufficient gems in the beginning so that you can actually take out the boss with overkill. And so right now I have 2 copies of Ascendant Keta that's going to generate 8 power gems. Dynamite Dougal will create 6, and if you don't have him, you can also use Iron Spine Nighthorse. And then to round it out, I have Biolume to take advantage of my relics, and then the support card from this particular event, because it's also a Generation 3 hero that has 10 times commander bonus. And so basically this is very simple, really fast. All you have to do is wait for the power gems to spawn and then do a swap here, and you can see how much damage this actually can deal here. So we're able to deal over 10 billion damage just from turn 1 with this, and so it's easy to take out overkill bosses, ultra kill bosses at the early stages so that you don't risk actually losing out on the overkill bonus. So that is something to keep in mind. And now we're going to continue on with some more variations of the 3 support card meta here to see if we can take down the solo legend bosses, this time using the Golden Trickster as well as Karasu, so that we can take advantage of the celebration tiles from the anniversary event. And now let's see how this would work out in a single key. So what's really nice here is there is the debuffs is very friendly for one key attempts here. And so I encourage you guys to just kind of play it and try it out and see how things go, see how it works out for you. Now we're at level 229, so the amount of health isn't super high just yet, but one of the things that you could always do is you could always basically start by taking down the health of your boss a little bit, and that does require a little bit of experimentation just to see how much damage you're able to deal. And now for what we're going to do here is we're actually going to continue to try and activate our support cards here so that we could get enough of a so we can actually continue to activate Karasu. Now, we're not going to have enough of a corrupt intensity buildup to really take advantage of the Golden Trickster, so we're only going to be able to blow up 1 tile anyway, and so it's not a concern for us whether we get more than 1, but we do need to make sure that we get our power up maximized to 15 here. And during this time, if you activate Karasu, you're also going to be getting more power gems on the board, and that's something that you want to take advantage of. And so here, over the next 4 turns, what you actually want to do is you want to actually try to make your celebration tiles generate as many of these gems as possible, and you want to wait basically 2 more turns, and you will also be able to get the 15 power gems here. And so we're gonna wait for 1 more turn here, and let's see, we're healing just fine, and at the end of this, we're gonna get 15 power gems plus additional rows and columns of power gem here from the Golden Trickster. And so this is what we're going to do. We're going to activate that, and then we're going to again do the same thing, activate all of the support cards here. And the end result here, let's take a look and see how much damage we're able to deal at this point. And so basically, really good damage there. We're still able to dish out about 26 to 28, I believe, billion damage here. So 28 billion. So this is good enough for bosses up to 14 billion. You can still get basically the 200% overkill bonus there. So which is pretty nice. And that's all for today's episode. Thanks a lot for watching. If you enjoyed it, hopefully you'll subscribe and get notification for any future videos I create. And again, I also do streams on Tuesdays and Thursdays where I do previews as well as live deck building. So hope to catch you on the stream, and I'll see you later. Take care.